Now I gotta ride or die.
Welcome back to the channel. We're back down at Advanced Automotive to do an update on the Cadillac. Now, of course, you guys know we are 2JZ swapping the Cadillac. So yes, a Toyota Supra engine is going in my 1966 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. And we will take you through exactly how far we've got, well, Advanced Automotive got, because as you can see, things have happened. But for the American car fans out there, beautiful Chevrolet pickup truck this side. Would absolutely love to do a bit more with this. I do know the owner and would like to do more with that with the channel, but looking at this makes me want to pick up trucks so bad at the moment. They are so cool. But back to the Cadillac, because as you guys can see, a lot has happened. Now, we'll say again, this is a build. I'm showing you every single stage because I want to make sure you guys know full well what's going on and how long it's going to take. This is a labour of love that's going to take a very long time to get this right, but updating you guys is key. So this is where we are this week. Now, as you can see, and you didn't see really in the last video, was the engine is actually sat in the bay. Now, this was a little bit harder than we were actually expecting, because mainly there was this cross member just going across here. Now, this isn't necessarily structural in a sense, but this is where usually the radiator and everything would sit. Now, I told the guys, you know, yes, we need this part for radiators and intercoolers or whatever, but make it so it can come out so you can get the engine in and out as easy as possible, because as you can see, this bar actually went so close to the engine, it was a little bit of worry for pulleys and various bits and bobs. So that was the first thing that had to be sort of cut out the engine bay to make sure we were actually able to get this thing in and out and sit properly against firewall, and you know, just where it needs to sit properly. Because if you guys did or didn't know, Toyota engines actually sit in Lexus and in Toyota products, you know, Supras and stuff. They actually sit on a tilt, especially with the gearbox, they sit on a tilt. So we're trying to replicate that in the Cadillac. That's the whole idea of this build, is to get it right. So we're at the build stage where you can see the car is, you know, here, and the engine is actually sat in the bay. But if you can see, the turbo manifold is actually on this side. So again, mocking up is basically what's happening here. Mocking up, making sure the car takes the engine and the bonnet can close and everything, and get the mounts right. But as you can see, the turbo manifold is actually clearing really nicely around all of the bits it needs to. So that was another worry that we had, is would the manifold actually be able to sit properly with a turbocharger on it this side, mainly because of course the V8s have two sides, and you know, there's a little bit more space in a sense on the V8 that came out of here, but actually having that there, seeing the space clearance, is a really good thing. So I'm very happy with that. Fantastic work from the guys down here at Advanced Automotive. That is clearing nicely. So are, you know, all of these bits clearing really nicely, and this side as well. Again, this is a build, so you want to make sure that everything is very free, and making sure we are happy before we really delve into getting this motor right and the bay right, because there's a lot of cutting and various things involved. But I will go up just here to show you guys the underneath, because underneath the car is where I really need to show you, because this is where the real work's been done. The actual engine has been in and out of the car about 20 times so far, so that is a lot of work. Like, it's a lot of work to get a 2J in and out of a Cadillac that many times. So we'll get the car in the air and actually show you all the mounting points and where we are underneath, because these are the bits you're not actually going to see unless I show you on camera properly. There is a lot of work under here, I must admit. It's so hard to get something like this in a car like this. So showing you guys everything from the start is absolute key. So we will leave that there. Underneath the car, now as you can see, there is a lot of space we are noticing, which is good for intercoolers, radiators, especially underneath. There's a lot of bracing and stuff, so that's good. Now as you can see, this is something that I pointed out in one of the last videos. There is actually an issue with the sump. Now the sump actually sits a bit lower than we were expecting on the 2J. Obviously this is something that's going to happen. The V8 didn't actually sit that low in comparison, so this is a reality for what's actually going on. So this is the steering for the car here, and as you can see, we've actually taken the bottom pan off because we're going to have to actually make a pan to sit in this area rather than it actually physically sits here, right in the way of this. Now, you don't want to, in our opinion, you don't want to change the geometry of the suspension and the driving side of stuff. So actually leaving this bar here, leaving it as standard, is sort of the key. And we're actually going to go down the route of changing the pan instead to actually something sort of here. So that'll be a custom part that'll actually have to be made for the bottom of the 2J. But thankfully enough, as you can see, it actually made it up really nicely with the Lexus gearbox that I bought off eBay, so that's a really good thing. I'm glad that I did the right thing there and bought the right part, which is fantastic news for me. But as you can see, I will show you guys these bits. These are the engine mounts for the 2JZ, and as you can see, really nicely done, painted and properly situed both sides, because as as I've just said, this actually needs to sit sort of on a tilt, because that's how they sit in the Lexus variant. So it actually sits, if you guys can just about see, it sits on a slight tilt there, and obviously this car could do with it being on a tilt in a sense, because there is, although enough room here, don't get me wrong, there is minimal room just here at the top of the gearbox. That was a slight issue that they've come into, is although this car is massive and it's got a lot of space, there is still minimal space to actually get this gearbox in here properly, because it is, again, it's a relatively large gearbox if I'm honest. And as you can see, we actually come to the end of the gearbox here where the prop is going to go, and as you can see, it is incredibly close. Now this is something that they have worked out, and it's actually going to sit quite nicely, and it's going to sit freely, which is good. But it means that as mock-ups, it meant that they could get the gearbox mounting, which is a really, really good thing. So that's actually sat perfectly as it should be, angled properly in the bay, and there is not a lot to really do in a sense of mounting stuff, because there is, you know, room to actually get it in perfectly. Now I can't actually believe we haven't actually had to bash any of the flooring out, which is a shout. I'm really happy that we haven't actually had to beat any of the tunnel out so far. Obviously I will get to that point if needs be, and we have to push the these walls especially out a little bit, but we should be good. We are actually sat as well, as you can see, because this is on air, it actually sits on the rails. As you can see, we're actually pretty much exact with the gearbox sitting on the, no, close to the ground, not on the ground, but it would be very, very close when it's actually aired out. Also, as you can see, everything is actually bolted up here, ready for the prop to be made. So we're actually going to put a custom prop in here. We've got a 2JZ prop on the end here, and then we're going to actually use the original Cadillac one that's going to go into the rear diff and stuff. Now, I'm going to ask you guys actually, if you have a prop for a 2JZ, preferably from a Lexus, that would be quite nice, Lexus GS300. I could just do with this bit here, as well as the gear shifty linkage and everything that actually goes with a gearbox, because I'm trying to find it. It's hard to find those bits. I'm quite surprised actually, but those are the last two bits I really need for this part of the build. But yeah, as you can see, we are really, really getting on with this, and I cannot believe how well these guys are getting on, and I can't believe this is actually pretty much sat in the base. So yeah, I'm going to leave this video there because we're actually tight time frame at the moment. This is going to get picked up tomorrow. We're going to go clean it up, make sure it's really, really nice for the show that's coming on Saturday and Sunday, which is Players. So I hope to see you guys there. The car will be there. Of course, it won't be running, but that's just one of those things. I want to show it off and show the progress of what's actually happened more than anything, and show the idea of what's happening, because it's a pretty crazy idea. Lastly, if you've stayed to this point in the video, this is the turbochargers we are going to have on show. So this is mock-up purposes only, and yeah, this one's off a front-loading shovel, and this one's off a Scania big truck. This was more of a laugh. This, I think, is what's really going to work. We're going to clean this up and actually just sit it in the engine bay for the show. Probably, you know, use something similar to this when it actually comes to the turbocharger. But yeah, two turbos sat ready to go on. We're only going to use one, of course, but it's just fun and games. So I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Again, massive thank you to the guys at Advanced Automotive. They are smashing this out. So excited to update you guys again with what's going to happen next with this build. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow.